order. This is the City Council's Holyoke Subcommittee, Finance Committee, City Council of Holyoke. We are doing both Zoom and we are on the public live access channel. My name is Joe McGiverin. I am the chair. Members of the committee tonight, with us tonight are Councilor Sullivan, Councilor Tallman, Councilor Murphy.
I'm not on the committee though.
Councilor Murphy is joining us, not on the committee. Councilor Bartley has a family conflict. He hopes to join us a little bit later, and who are we missing? We also have Councilor
Leahy.
And Councilor Leahy. Jim, I lost your picture, sorry.
Councilor
Leahy is a member of the committee, and Councilor Graney has joined us through telephone. Those are the city councilors present at the moment. We have a number of items. It's not as bad as it looks. And if the committee would help me out here, if we could take up items 1 and 2 together.
Motion taking number 1 and 2 as a package.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item number 1, this is our second meeting on it, is the actual settlement agreement between the City of Holyoke and UFCW Local 1459. We know that as the DPW unit. Item number 2 is a transfer. It's a replacement transfer from what we had at the last meeting that we received at the last meeting. I'm looking for one more transfer, but I'll get to that in a second. Some of the transfers on the items on the agenda tonight are to get rid of once we take care of the items. We are joined, first of all, by our auditor, who's going to walk us through this. I didn't think our city solicitor was going to be with us, but I guess Crystal is. Hi, Crystal.
Hey, Crystal.
We also, representing the union, who we did not have at the last meeting, is Dean. Dean, I lost your last name.
That's Ethier.
Ethier. Thank you, Dean.
Yep.
And Tyrone Housey is also representing the union. We welcome you both here. We like to vet these contracts with the union present so the union can participate if they so choose or choose to ask any questions. Typically, our role in the contract is we do not negotiate contracts. We are actually not allowed to. And when a contract is being negotiated, we cannot interfere, intervene, or use any of our authority, to have while that contract's being negotiated. We understand once it's presented to us, it's signed, being that the union has signed off on it, the mayor and whoever the mayor's representative was has signed off. Note at the last meeting, we identified that the lawyer who was working for the city on the majority of this contract is no longer with the city. We did have, and we have this evening, our city solicitor with us, who is acting in her behalf, although our city solicitor did not negotiate most of this contract. However, we did go through the contract at the last meeting. We did not have our auditor with us, who was with us this evening, to talk about the transfers. At the last meeting, we did have the department head who signed off on all the transfers. Unfortunately, Mike McManus has a very important family commitment this evening himself, so he will not be with us, but I think we're okay there with the auditor just running through the replacements. So I'm going to very quick. Contract is being negotiated. I'm sorry, what?
Who's talking?
11:39.
Okay, I'm not sure who's talking, but I don't think it's meant to be heard. Real quick, and then we'll ask if the union has any questions, and we'll talk about the transfers. This fiscal 20 increase for this contract for the bargaining unit is a 1.5% increase. That 1.5% increase carries over to fiscal 21 and 22. Part of this is retroactive for last year, but the contract was negotiated this year, so they're allowed to do that. The retroactive money is coming in this year's budget, and the retroactive money is going to be going back to the prior fiscal year itself. A lot of the scope of what we talked about was a number of things that had some financial impact and some things that didn't. Some of the highlights were job classifications, which we talked about a change within the parking control officer, allowing an increase there, but additional duties, which has a lot to do with what's going on in the parking situation, especially downtown. Both because of the management company is now the online collecting company, is not somebody that has anybody on site. So our job classification for parking control officers has changed. There's a Class A license, which would bring 75 cents per hour to whenever it is used for when a larger vehicle or a larger weight class is being towed, and that towing equipment is around, and that 75% kicks in. I think those were the highlights that had financial impacts. There were some other additional things about cell phone policy and some other things that we talked about that are all in the contract. At the moment, I think I've touched everything. Some of the language, just in addition, is Mike explained that he wanted a ability, and the union, I believe, agreed to use temporary seasonal help when there are some vacancies or people that are out. Why don't I stop there, and before we get into the money and the transfers again, why don't I look at Tyrone and at Dean and ask you if you have anything you'd like to say or any questions that you have of us. Dean, and Holyoke, the final ratification of the contract is when the city council approves the appropriation that comes to us via the mayor, in this case via the mayor, with the department head making transfers. So are there any questions or thoughts from the union?
The temporary workers piece was something that the city had wanted. That's not a union proposal. That was the employer proposal. We made some modifications. McManus talked about the need to have that, especially when people are out on workman's comp. So worked together with the city to come up with fair language that addressed our concerns and their concerns. So it's something that that the employer was definitely looking at. And with respect to the police and those positions that you mentioned, again, those are employer proposals. We obliged. So.
Thank you, Tyrone. Yep. And as we always know, we can't negotiate, but it's always a little give and take. And I think the city made out well in those two areas. And I hope the employees are making out well, because I can speak for everybody here tonight and tomorrow, next week when we put this before the full city council. Our DPW workers are class 1A and not paid enough. And we're glad that we have a contract that at least is going in the right direction. Is there anybody who has questions for the union? Councilor Tallman.
Yes, thank you. Tyrone, could you explain or you or Crystal, the 75 cents an hour, is that the towing? Is that like if somebody's towing something out of a different class, more weight, takes 15 minutes, they'll get paid that extra money for that hour?
I gotta think about the I don't have the proposal in front of me. It was 75 cents.
Right.
Kind of, was it like a differential, if I can?
Yeah, I think it was a differential.
It was for the CDL licenses. So when they use their license, they get $75 or 75 cents extra per hour.
Right. That's a union proposal. That's a union proposal comparable to some of our other DPWs when they get their CDL license. That's incentivized them to get their CDL license for the higher pay, which the higher premium, which is good for the city. So that was a union proposal, and it was accepted. Okay.
And could you explain I didn't really understand the part about you mentioned something about the police in the contract. How does that, the city?
Well, I think it was, what was it? It was two of those positions.
It's the parking control officer.
Parking control.
Okay, it wasn't the police.
Police. I misspoke.
Okay, parking, that's what I thought. Okay.
Don't elevate Dan.
Yes. Those are the two positions that the city requested. So I misspoke on that, but those are the two positions that I believe we signed an MOA prior to the commencement of negotiations, and all we did was incorporate that agreement, sometime last year or year and a half into our current negotiations.
Okay, now, and I think we spoke about this last week. Was there something with the change in the job classification that it would have to go to ordinance? Or no?
No,
Joe?
I don't think so, Peter, but we can refer that to Crystal. Can you weigh in on that?
I don't have any information on that either. I don't remember having to do any new position, but it's one of those moments I wish Mike McManus was logged in. He'd probably have the answer off the top of his head.
It's not, they're not new positions. There's 2 on the books, only
Right.
one's being utilized.
It's new classifications, right? Setting them
Right.
in new pay brackets.
Yeah, new pay bracket.
Yeah, with additional duties. But it's,
Yeah.
I don't think they're by ordinance. I think they're by contract. I don't think we have to adjust the ordinance. We'll have to adjust the pay, but the
Right.
contract does that.
It's similar to the letters you would see that come in that'll say, we want to give somebody a new PR of 22 instead of 14 or something like that. But yeah, it wouldn't be an ordinance change.
But the council
Okay.
would still have to accept that, right? That change?
I believe so. If we're reclassifying a grade.
Right, yeah. Okay, and the last statement I have to make is to Dean and Tyrone. I'm really, as Joe stated, really thankful for the work that the DPW workers do on a daily basis. I encounter them up in my area, plus I go down to the trash site down at the dump to turn things in, and everybody's professional. And I think sometimes our citizens don't realize the money that we paying our taxes really gets a good effect on the workers you guys do. And every worker I've seen has been very pleasant and really do hard work. And this is one way and the small way that we could try to bring up your compensation, because I agree with Councilor McGiverin. You're really do the bulwark of the city work, whether it's trash pickup, recyclables, tree branches, leaves, cleaning the streets. I really commend you for the work you do. So thank you
for your words.
we appreciate it. We'll communicate that with our members. They do work hard. It is a tough physical job.
Yeah, it is very, very tough. Thank you. I'm all set, Joe.
Okay, any other questions for the union? Any other comments before we go to the next part of this?
Yeah, hey, Joe, I have my hand up.
Councilor Leahy, I'm sorry, I didn't have that side up yet. I got it.
All right, well, hey, this is City Councilor Jim Leahy. I hope everybody can hear me. I just want to say thank you all for getting on the call tonight. I was one of the ones that wanted to table this at our last meeting, just for the fact that I think that the union should be on the call and just to see if they had any issues. I'm glad you guys are on. I just had a question. Who pays? So if I'm an employee at the DPW and I want to get my CDL, who pays for that? Do I pay out of pocket, or does the city pay for that?
I believe that currently the member pays for that. I don't think that there's. I don't remember any kind of contract language. And you have to forgive me because we also have other DPW, so we get a little. I think in Springfield they do pay for them.
Did you have a copy of the agreement? Did you not get a copy?
I do have a copy of the agreement. I don't have it with me here right now, but I don't believe that is. I'm recalling the highlights, and I don't recall that all we asked for was for the increase in the CDL license. We did not negotiate any for employees to get the CDL license.
How come?
Well, that's not something that we had a few proposals that were on the table that were that were related to finances. So we always try to strive to get more the next time. We know that the city was broke and that
that's not, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the way I look at this is, as all the other councilors have said, our DPW workers are the unsung heroes of our community. And if we could only better them with education and getting CDLs, they could improve their pay to bring home to their husbands and their wives and their spouses and their children. That's something, if I was on the union side negotiating, I would throw all the spaghetti against the wall and I'd be happy with what I can negotiate. I would think. I think that these people, I mean, I would be interested to see if, like, firefighters, do they have to pay when they become EMTs? Is that something they have to do out of their pocket? I don't know, but I'm thinking that, as I said, these are unsung heroes, and I want to do everything in our power to help these people.
Well, I appreciate what you're saying. Under Section 2, Article 21, Section 2, the city shall reimburse employees for the cost of renewal for their state wastewater operations license, commercial driver's license, hoisting equipment license, and any other license approved by the general superintendent.
Well, there you go.
Okay, so with the passage of the exam or the course, the city of Holyoke will pay for the reimbursement of a CDL then?
With the approval of the general superintendent, which,
okay,
does that ever, I don't think that'd be a problem.
Okay, now, you guys would probably know better than I. Would our general superintendent ever turn that down?
If he does, we'll come to you.
Okay, no, I just, the way I look at it is, I'm a product of, I'm 1 out of 5 kids. My father was a union iron worker for 38 years.
Nice.
I put 5 of us through college. I'm sorry, I was the first to graduate college, my entire family. And I have, 3 brothers that are union members, a sister who's a doctor, and everybody has an advanced degree, except for me. But I'm heading there. I'm working there. I have a couple credits shy. But, the union really, if it wasn't for the union, my father. So anyway, I guess I'm telling you this history about myself. But I'm just wanting these guys and girls and these people to get the best value that they can. And that's where I stand.
I really appreciate all your kind words. I've taken over the city from Tyrone for servicing purposes, and it's a pleasure to hear you guys speak like this. And I look forward to working with you guys in the future for upcoming issues. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Once again, I'm Jim Leahy. Nice to meet you, and anything I can do to help you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
All set, Counselor? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think one of the things, and Tyrone, Dean, you can correct me, is most people that are hired for the DPW positions already have a CDL license.
Right. They do.
Yeah, and it's actually a requirement. And then the new language is about Class A, which is an upgrade to the CDL for heavy equipment, which I think is what Mike is going to be willing to pay for, or it sounds like it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Joe, the reason I brought that up is because a lot of times, people get jobs at the Holyoke Water Department, and they get their licensing, and then they move on until like the gas and electric because they're not getting paid enough. I'm just throwing that as an example. So I just want our people to get paid enough so they don't have to worry about moving on to other jobs or moving to other communities. I want people to be happy working for the DPW in the city of Holyoke and have a career out of it.
Point well taken. Councilor Sullivan.
Yeah, I'll just clarify this a little bit for everybody as long as we're on the topic. Joe had it almost right. Most of the guys have a CDL Class B, all right? A Class A is for tractor trailers, all right? Generally speaking, the reason a person in the Holyoke DPW would need a Class A is if you're driving a Class B CDL, a dump truck, and you have to tow something behind it, that changes the requirement now, because that now becomes, for all intents and purposes, a tractor towing a trailer behind it. So we don't, the city doesn't own tractor trailers or low boys for hauling equipment around and stuff like that, but the trucks do tow other pieces of equipment, which makes you drop into that Class A category. So that's basically it in a nutshell. And as far as the training itself and getting the license, the city doesn't pay for it. What it's paying for is a renewal of an existing license. So I hope that clarifies it for everybody a little better.
Thank you, Councilor Sullivan. We knew you could count on you.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilor Graney.
Yes, I'd like to know if the Finance Committee is happy with this contract.
The Finance Committee is very happy with this contract, but we got to talk about the transfers in 2 seconds. So
okay.
If we're all set with the questions of the contract and questions from the union. Tyrone, Dean, please hang on. This is the fun part. With us is our auditor. Tanya, you there?
Hey, Joe. Tanya's having problems getting into the meeting. She's tried a couple times. Ryan said she keeps showing up and getting booted out.
Crystal, you sound like you're a world away.
I'm at a baseball game trying to do this.
I hope the team that you're rooting for is winning.
It's my son's team. They're doing awesome.
All right.
Good.
I see Tanya in the meeting.
All right, she just unmuted. Tanya, you there?
Home run.
All right, Tanya's trying to log in. So if you can bear with me for a second, I've got it. I really wish, I hope we get her to explain it. I know we had a lot of confusions. Item number 2 is a new, as I stated, a new transfer. This particular transfer totals for $13,675. Brian, on the agenda, it doesn't tell me where it's coming from. Can you read that to us?
It does say it, Joe.
What do you have, Councilor Tallman?
I have from refuse HMEO, 8,365, and parking control officer, 5,310.
I apologize.
Yeah.
That's below on my, I have 2 agendas. And I'll
Below,
explain
yeah.
that in a second,
It's
but
below that.
That's below it. I didn't see it. Okay, so we do have the items. All the money being transferred is within Mike McManus's current budget, and he identified it for different reasons as surplus. The positions that are with the person is because there was vacancies at some time during the year or current vacancy, and he identified it as items that he will not need to transfer in during the course of the year. He's transferring it out to honor the contract in part for this year, but to honor the contract to come up with the money to pay for the retro.
I make a motion to approve it.
Okay, the motion is to approve this particular transfer. And I do have a question for the auditor, but we can do it next week if we can't.
I'll second that. I'll second the motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilor Murphy.
Yeah, do we have a listing or a total for, if I heard you correctly, this starts with FY20 and then FY21 and FY22. Do we know what the cost in each of those years is?
That's why Tanya's here.
Tanya would know.
The retro cost is $32,407.
You mean that again, Mr. Chairman? 32?
$32,407.
And that covers all of FY20?
Yes, but again, we're doing it in fiscal 21 because the contract wasn't signed until this year.
Okay, no, I understand that.
The annual cost is we need Tanya.
She's on
I
again.
know, I made it. I
There she
made
is.
it. Sorry.
She's on.
All right,
She's
Tanya,
on.
before I say something out of whack here, can you, Councilor Murphy, and I think he's heading us in the right direction. Item number 2, we're willing to pass it. It's the new item, but it only totals $13,675. Can you start with the retro money for fiscal year 20, how much and where it's coming from, and then what we need for this year and what we don't need to adopt this evening, but what we need for next year?
So the reason why there's one transfer, item 2 on there, there actually was supposed to be an additional one on the agenda that I tried to late file. And it looks in Lotus like it's there, but I'll talk to Brenna about that tomorrow. But there's a second one out there for $15,672. So together, the total transfer is $29,347. Is that what you're asking?
And is
Yes,
after FY20?
That's the transfer. Now we understand. So where is the rest of the money coming from?
For the retro, the 32,407,
Yes.
Mike McManus has that in his budget already. I had a
Okay,
discussion
he
with
did
him.
tell us that during the budget hearing for this year. He had planned for this contract to be passed, and he did have money in the contract.
Was there another question or?
Councilor Murphy?
Yeah, now I'm more confused, unfortunately. So the cost of FY20, is it 32,407 or 29,347? And this is what?
The total cost is 32,407, but that is for the retro.
Okay, that's retro
From
for
fiscal year
FY20.
2000 for no, that's 19 and 20.
So this contract is for 4 years?
So what happened is, no, it's not. So what we
10 months
did
into
was
this
the
year.
actual,
I'm
it went
sorry.
into this year. We budgeted a raise in the 2021
Yep.
budget. We already budgeted a raise.
Okay.
So all he needs right now is to budget for the fiscal year, the previous fiscal year's retro. That's all he needs. He doesn't need money for the whole contract because he's already budgeted that.
Okay. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm getting better.
And we actually, I think we did budget 1.5% as well. So it would have covered the total of it.
For FY21.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions?
I say one more question.
Councilor Murphy?
Yeah, because in item 2, we're transferring from refuse HMEO. And then in item 3, if I'm reading this correctly, we're adding to,
No, let me stop you there.
okay,
Item 3, item 6, 7, and 8, we're gonna get rid of.
And 3.
and 3?
6, 7, and 8.
Oh, okay, all right.
3,
And
3, 6, 7, and 8. That was messy. Sorry, that's
we're
messy.
at the auditor's request, we're gonna give them leave to withdraw and return to the mayor.
Okay, all right, that I'm much better now.
And then next Tuesday, we're gonna have one more transfer, as Tanya just explained, will be on the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll get a hold of Mike and, between Mike and Tanya to explain how much money is in his budget this year, so we can have the numbers we need to add up to the total cost.
Okay.
Any other questions for tonight? Any other questions that we need answered for next Tuesday?
No, I made a motion and Peter seconded it.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This recommendation will go unanimously to the full city council next Tuesday. The contract, if we could make a motion to receive the contract, refer it to the full city council and keep a copy for our archives.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. And
Joe?
if someone can make a motion on items 3, 6, 7, and 8, that we give leave to withdraw at the
Make a
request of
motion,
the auditor.
3, 6,
return
7, 8, give leave withdrawal.
Second.
Return to the mayor.
Return to the mayor.
Turning
All
the
those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Tyrone, Dean, thank you very much for joining us. We'll vote on this next Tuesday as a full body. Once we take that vote, it'll officially ratify the contract, which you've already ratified with the mayor.
Thank you all for.
You're
nice
Thank you,
to meet
guys.
everyone.
Have a good night. Take
Good
care.
night.
Bye-bye.
Councilor McGiverin?
Councilor Dahlman.
Yeah, just a question, Joe. You mentioned that Tanya's going to have one more transfer. So is she going to put that in before us on Tuesday? Will that be able to be voted on with this out of
The
committee?
way she explained it, I think she's still with us. She put it in last week,
Right.
but it missed the deadline because of a problem with the way Lotus works.
Okay.
I think there's a new system that they're working on, and it didn't come in as a late filed, unfortunately. If it came in as a late filed, we would have still got it and had it for tonight. So it should just show up, but she's going to check with Brenna to make
Okay.
sure it shows up, and hopefully we'll see it when we get the agenda, even before Tuesday night.
Right. And we can take that up with this and that night.
Yes, it's a replacement order because the orders that we're getting rid of have got the money in them, but they had extra money for longevity that wasn't supposed to be there, and extra money for, there was one other item that wasn't supposed to be there. I think it was
Okay.
at 10,000 for temporary seasonal.
Okay, thank you.
I know it's confusing, and I thank everybody for bearing with it. I think we'll be ready by Tuesday to, to make it work and make it all add up.
Okay,
I'm confident between Tanya, Mike, and and the mayor that, that these numbers are correct, but I think it's important that we can add them up and we know exactly what the total is and what we're voting on to complement what's already in the budget. Obviously, what's already in the budget, we already voted on. Item number 4.
motion to take item number 4 off the table for discussion.
Second.
Made and
Second.
seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Item 4, introduced under my name, is that under Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53A, the City Council accepts the provisions of the fiscal 2020 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Grant, known as the JAG Grant, authorizes the establishment of a fund or other method appropriate for the accounting of the receipts and expenditures of all resources associated with the administration of said grants. From the police department, do we have Sergeant Hart?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
John, thank you for joining us.
Okay,
Hey,
great.
Joe, if I could just ask Sergeant Hart a quick question.
Please, Council Leahy, through the chair to Sergeant Hart.
Yeah, hi, Sergeant. This is Jimmy Leahy. Is this something I should abstain from?
No.
Okay, then go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, Sergeant, if you'd like to walk us through the grants, let us know the total amount of the grant and if there's any matching funds.
Okay, the total amount is $34,358, and there are no matching funds for this. And this is basically our annual equipment grant that we get through the Department of Justice. We kind of use it as kind of like a capital budget funds for our department. So with this award, we are going to be getting 2 rifle-rated ballistic shields and 25 new computers and monitors for the station. We have approximately 100 throughout the department, and we kind of use this grant to kind of piecemeal every year to get new computers.
So when you say computers, not the hard drive, but for the PCs and.
Yeah, it's actually a desktop with a monitor and keypad and the whole, the accessories. So.
And John, forgive me, but the rifle-rated ballistic shield, could you give us a definition of that?
Basically, those are shields that we would use, like our narcotics officers might use for entry. They're bulletproof shields that they hold to make entry into apartments or hallways, and we'd have one for our patrol division as well. If they were to go to a active shooter scenario, they would have a bulletproof shield. Previous ones we had were just pistol rated, so a rifle could penetrate. But now we have, with the approval of this grant, we'll have 2 new rifle rated ones.
And what's the price of the shields?
Approximately $2,500 a piece.
Okay. Any questions for Sergeant Hart?
Yes.
Councilor Tomlin? I'm sorry, I got 2 hands up. Councilor Tomlin and Councilor Leahy and Councilor Murphy.
Okay, thank you, Sergeant Hart. When does this grant, after we accept it, when does it start and when does it end?
Well, once it's accepted through the full city council, I'll go out and start making the purchases. And once we receive the equipment, we'll send out the payment to them and it'll end.
Okay, so
that should be, that could be as early as January.
Okay.
It all depends on them shipping the equipment to us.
Yeah. What is the time frame of getting the new, say, computers and monitors once you order them?
It shouldn't be that. I hope to have them, if this is approved in the next full council meeting. I believe we should have them in and installed and up and running before the new year.
Okay, and one more quick question on this drag grant. Is that about what you've been getting every year? Or is that less or more?
It seems to be going down every year. I can remember when it used to be up in the 80,000s. So
right. So and that comes from where, the federal government?
Yes, the Department of Justice.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Leahy?
Yeah, thank you. And Sergeant Hart, my deepest sympathies go out to you and to your family. I've been thinking about you. So I'm very sorry.
Thank you.
So questions on this. Now, do you have to go out to an RFP, or is this something Wally Computer is going to handle, or how does this work?
Yeah, it's through Wally Computer. So as soon as we get the okay, like I said, through the full city council, and I get a fund number from Brenna, we'll go to Wally and tell them start shipping. So we'll get approximately 25 of them.
Okay. Now, does Wally provide professional development for our officers who come in, and because technology changes, computer applications change, programs change? Will they provide training for people to utilize the different programs that are needed?
There's really no IT training for our officers. If there is a change or update, it's emailed out, and our IT officers will go around to anyone who has any problems, navigating through any new upgrades.
Okay, but how about professional development when it comes to the shield? Is there like training that goes out throughout the year? Because I'm sure every year there's different protocol and different procedures. How does that work?
Our firearms instructors will be utilizing those shields in training. We still have officers from our previous SWAT team who have been trained with those shields, so they can train as well when we do our firearms training.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you, President, or Joe.
Thank you.
Councilor Murphy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sergeant Hart, just going into those ballistic shields again, and I know you indicated one would be with the Drug Enforcement Division and the other one would be on patrol. But I'm just wondering, with all the activity that we have making arrests and some big arrests in the city in terms of drug uses going into apartment buildings and things, would it make sense to order one or two more of those and 2 or 3 less computers? I'm assuming the computers we're getting are replacing other computers.
That's correct. And like I said, we have about 100 of them. So we've been getting some each year.
Yeah.
So to start cutting on that amount, then we're just gonna end up, falling behind. Like I said, we do have other shields that are pistol rated.
Yep.
But not rifle rated. But I believe if there are any type of warrants ahead of time, and we have knowledge that there may be firearms or even rifles, we do participate with a lot of federal task force, and they do have shields. So I'm sure with our 2,
okay,
we can gather up some others.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're going in with the maximum protections that we can have for the officers. So if you're comfortable with it, I'm comfortable with it. And if at some point you need more, I would encourage you to come back.
You could always use more.
There you go. Thank you.
Any other questions for Sergeant Hart?
I make a motion to approve it.
Motion made and second to approve. Is there any other discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. John, we meet next Tuesday. Thank you for your help as always. You come prepared and we appreciate what you do.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Item number 5.
Motion to take item number 5 off the table for discussion.
Second.
Motion made second to take item 5 off the table, introduce under my name. It's in accordance with Mass General Laws, Section 4453A. The City of Holyoke hereby accepts the IMLS CARES Act grant entitled Virtual Programming for Distance Learning, authorizes the establishment of a fund and other method appropriate for the counting of receipts and expenditures of all resources. It's off the table for discussion. I'd like to invite our guest, Maria is here with us from the Public Library, and start with apologizing, Maria, because we had this on a previous agenda and we were given wrong information that this grant was actually coming through the mayor for the schools. And we found out that night that it was actually for the library. And I know you got late notice at our last meeting, but we're very happy to have you with us this evening. We would ask you just to briefly give us the update on what this grant, how much it is there any match, and how you're going to use it.
Well, first, thank you for inviting me and being so patient with me. The grant is for virtual programs, and this was written by a collaboration of the Children's Department, the Teens Department, and the Local History Department. So it's not only for a certain group age, it's for all age group. And they're going to be working on a different virtual programs. As you know, the library is still not open to the public, and we are trying to still be connected with the community through our online resources. I have an update that I was just sent today of what it has happened so far. But the grant is for to increase the public access to library digital programs. And it can be used for equipment such as tripods, green screen, recording equipment, access to software, online subscription to create videos, promotion, print, and digital materials, and a lot more. There is no match. This is whatever goes beyond the $3,499 that it was awarded to the library. That would be taken by the library. So we're not asking for city funds in regards to this. As far as I know, they're keeping everything that they're doing within that budget. But again, if we do go beyond, it would not be on the library. It would not be on the city. The library will pay for any extra expenses. The funds can also be, I'm sorry?
I said, we like hearing that.
Oh, I bet. It can also pay for virtual performers. We can pay for that. For developing remote learning kits, which we are already working on that, especially in the children's room in the teens area. And all that can be distributed to the patrons via the curbside services that we have. We also can buy supplies for story walks and virtual story time. And one of the things that we're doing, just in case not everybody can have access to the internet and participate of the story times for the children through Facebook and other means that we have, we also going to have a subscription for Dial a Story. And it's just a matter of making a phone call and choose the story that you would like. One of our staff that is reading is a recorded story, so they can listen to it as many times as they want. And every 2 weeks or every month, new stories will be available for the children to listen to, and even adults. So that's also in the works. That's another thing that we're going to be setting up. So you'll be able to put your children, give them the phone, and they'll listen to a story if they can have access through it, through Facebook and any other means that we have. As of, let's see, as of today, the 15th, they sent me a report of what they have done so far. I don't know if anybody have noticed this year is the library's 150th anniversary, and we were planning a lot of different programs, and all that had to be put on hold because of COVID. So everything has to be now done electronically, online. So there is a nice video. It's an online exhibit, and it's called the Holyoke Public Library Celebrating 150 Years of Service to the People of Holyoke. And you can just go to our website. You'll be able to go and see that exhibit. That exhibit was supposed to be in the library, but again, because we're not open to the public, people can still enjoy it via online by just going to our website, and you'll be able to see that exhibit. Something else that they've been doing is the grab and go kits for the kids. They have different crafts that they can be doing on every 2 weeks. I think they have a new set of kit that they put together, and the parents, they call the library and reserve one of those kits, and then they can do different activities with the children. The teens in the children's room reflect significant restriction on how the grants can be spent. So the teens are doing bags that cannot be, one of the plans that we had was to also include like a snack with the kids that were going to be taken. Well, we can't do food because of the COVID. So those things cannot happen anymore. So what they're going to be doing is just pretty much activities and book a bag of books, so we can also have like online book clubs. The history room will be doing a lot of online exhibits and genealogy classes and things like that. Everything has to be educational. It cannot be for entertainment only. It has to be educational. And for the teens and the children, it has to have something related to STEM, with the science, technology, engineer, math, and art. Because from STEM now is STEAM. And they added reading, so it's STREAM. It would be the whole thing that we're working on. So there's a little bit for everybody according to the age group. And that's what the grant is for, is to continue staying in contact with the community and still be in the teaching, learning kind of topics.
Maria,
Mr. Chairman?
I thank you, because all we have to do is ask you to explain this. And I think by the time you're done, there's hardly going to be any questions. You are incredible. Thank you for the work you do. I know you've been with the library since day one, 150 years ago, or at least it seems like that.
That's about.
But your knowledge is incredibly valuable, and we appreciate it. So with that,
Thank
are
you.
there any questions? I hear Councilor Grady.
Yeah, I just have a quick question for Maria. Do you have a link of all this activity into the Holyoke Public Schools?
We have sent all the information to the school. Now, how far they are making it accessible or disseminated to the parents, I'm not too sure. But all the information that we have, we try to include the schools. Just Tuesday was our annual meeting, and one of the things that we're going to be doing is sending the pamphlets that have all our online resources to the schools, so then they can promote it there too. Because everything that we have at the library is not just for the kids. Parents, now that they're serving as educators, they have the tools. The teachers, they can supplement what they're teaching with the resources that we have. There's no need for, in like the Girls and Boys Club, that now is also being used as a classroom, because a lot of the kids, the parents can't help them or they don't have access to the internet. So they're using the Boys and Girls Club as a classroom instead of the schools, which is fine. But instead of them spending money on getting other resources to help the children, all they have to do is tap into the library resources and use the resources they have for something else. So we do not duplicate what anybody out in the community is doing. We just want to supplement what they are doing and helping them reach other ways of reaching their clientele and their customers.
Okay, Maria, thanks. Let's just hope that the public school system reaches out to you and taps into these programs. Thank you very much.
I hope so, because we have a lot of valuable resources there that is, I'm just amazed. I've used it with my grandkids, and it's amazing how what we have can really supplement what they're learning.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Maria?
Make a motion to accept the provisions of the grant, IMLS.
I second the motion.
Motion has been made and seconded to accept the provisions of the grant and forward this recommendation to the full city council next Tuesday. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Maria, thank you for joining us, and thank you for all you do for the city and for one of the best libraries in Western Mass. The best library.
Well,
yes.
I'll be sending everybody a copy of the annual report so you can see what we have accomplished, even though we're under the COVID mandate of no public in the building.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you all. Be safe.
You too. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Maria.
Bye.
We have one more item. And it's a double A. And the original finance agenda emailed us was a draft agenda, which normally is the final agenda. But there was one item that was not on it, and Ryan amended the agenda. If you look on the website, well before the 48 hours, he put the new item on. It's called item 8 again. So if you don't have a copy of it, I'm going to read it. It's the communication we received at our last full city council meeting from the Holyoke Community Preservation Act Committee, coming under Amy Lando's name, that the City Council vote to approve their fiscal 21 budget article, which appropriates and reserves estimated funds for the CPAC annual revenues in a manner consistent with the CPAC legislation for Massachusetts. Amy, I think you're with us tonight. Ryan, did Amy join us?
I don't see Amy on here. I invited her and Kip, and I think they both said that they didn't plan to because it was just, I think they kind of thought of it as but we have Mike here. I don't know if Mike has something to say about it.
Well, we have Councilor Sullivan, who is also a member of the Finance Committee, is also the City Council's representative to the CPAC, and we have our auditor, Tanya, still with us. Tanya gave me a lot of information as to what our role is here. This, Mike, I believe, will be the beginning of the third year. I think we had a partial year and a full year. And in the past, we've had something come under Mike's name, which I think we can do if Tanya feels we have to, or if our city solicitor says we have to for our final vote on Tuesday. But for purpose of discussion, what the CPAC did, and Mike, I'm going to give this right over to you so I don't mess it up here, but is they vote on the categories that are required and the percentages of which they're going to spend in each category. And it's called a budget article. Tanya actually backed that up with some language. Tanya, I'm going to ask you for all this stuff that you sent me today that you make sure you forward it, please forward it to all city councilors. So if there's any questions we can ask. But Mike, would you like to run us through what the CPAC is looking for here?
Yeah, sure. This is actually the same thing. We've done this on at least 2 other occasions, and really it's a formality. I actually filed an order today so that it will be on the agenda for the full council for Tuesday. I'll try on Tuesday, if it's the will of the body, to get it done on the floor. That's what we've done on the last two previous tries. There's only one appropriation, and that's for the administrative portion of the budget, which is $30,000, which is used to pay Amy's salary and for any consulting services or other things that arise for the committee during the year. The rest of it is just placeholders as required. There's $60,000 for historic, $60,000 for open space, and $60,000 for housing. That doesn't mean any of that is going to be spent. It means that's the money that has to be set aside, that has to be used in those categories. And then $359,000 for general purpose that can go into any of those three categories. And then I'm doing this from complete memory right now, but I believe the other total was $59,155, which was surplus left over from the previous year, for a total budget of $659,155. But it's aside from the administrative one, it's not for the approval of any projects. It's just what the total budget is and how much must be set aside in each of those categories. And as we've said in the previous years, it doesn't mean that $60,000 is going to be spent. If nothing gets approved in those categories, it just sits there and rolls over to the next year. But that's the minimum that must be set aside in each of those accounts.
And Mike, we still have to vote on each project after the CPAC finalizes the project. It comes to us. Correct.
Absolutely correct. Just as a heads up, there is another order being filed with that to establish a small grant fund, which the committee will be looking for them to approve $18,000 for that. Then this is completely separate. That order is to be sent to finance. But basically what they're looking for there is the ability to do small grants of $3,000 or less, and have a blanket approval of the $18,000. And it just allows them, as small projects come in, not to put the people through the whole process and dragging the thing out. Okay. But so that'll be a separate issue. That's just kind of a heads up and a side note. That's what's going on with CPA.
I liken to this similar to the beginning of the fiscal city budget, where we're looking at estimated monies coming in, and we more specific line items of where they're going to be spent. But in this case, it's category, as you call it, placeholders of where the money is going to be spent, some general money, and then we still get to vote on it as we go case by case.
Correct. This is a formality and it's required by the state.
Correct. And that's in the language that Tanya gave me today. So I think it all falls into place. Are there any questions for Councilor Sullivan or for our auditor, Councilor Tallman?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Mike, for the work you do for the CPAC committee. I caught some of the meeting. I believe it was on last night, and I caught a little bit about those mini grants. And I think Kip was talking about how, there could be a lot of people doing it, but I think that'd be helpful to have those small grants to help out some agencies, try to get some funding. If you have the number, if you don't have it, that's okay. What is the approximate money that comes in on a yearly basis on average from that CPA, the percentage that we pay out of our taxes approximately?
I think that's where the 300, well, it's not 350. But I think we're estimating 600,000. Okay. All right. Okay. And then there was the 59,155 rolled over from last year. Okay. Now the number could come in higher than 600. We're pretty sure it won't come in lower.
Right. And like I said, part of that money is city money and part of that's a match, but the match isn't anywhere near what we were originally going to get. No. Is there something like 10%, 20%, something?
I think the state pays. You're getting me doing this from memory here. I believe it's 14% this year. I could be wrong on that, but
okay.
Even still, It's
Right.
way less than what was presented to us
Proposed.
a few years ago.
Originally, and if we got into it early, we might have gotten 100%, but that might have been 8 years ago when these towns were getting into it, right?
Yes, and it's done nothing but gone down every year since, so.
Okay, that's good to know. They sort of, the public knows that, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? I would suggest that the motion would be that the letter is complied with a recommendation that we, on Tuesday, that we accept Councilor Sullivan's order and ask the city council to adopt the order, the budget, article that night. But we can't make that motion. We can't adopt it tonight because it has to be under Councilor Sullivan's filing. But we certainly can respond to the letter and just say this letter has been complied with, and we ask that we try to adopt Councilor Sullivan's order on Tuesday.
I'll make a motion that the letter's been complied with and we adopt Councilor Sullivan's motion on Tuesday night.
I second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Also unanimous. Mike, thank you for keeping us updated, and thank you for doing the extra work on the CPAC committee.
Thanks.
Yes, very appreciative.
Yep.
Thank you
All
all.
right, there's no other items. So, Chair, I'd love to hear
Make a
that
motion to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
To adjourn. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Adjourn. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. Crystal, Tanya, Ryan, Holyoke Media, Scott, if you're there still, thank you all.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.